All right, welcome into the Mountaintop. Hope you are doing well. I'm your host, Everest Leach, and we have a lot planned here on this episode. NBA Finals are now wrapped up. We have a new NBA champion in the Oklahoma City Thunder. Tyrese Halliburton's injury in Game 7, obviously crushing, super sad. We're going to go over that and what it means kind of for the NBA as a whole, because we're just seeing so many of these really brutal major injuries, and it sucks. Stanley Cup Finals also just wrapped up in this past week, and the Florida Panthers repeating as Stanley Cup champions. We're going to dive into a little bit of that and the Panthers' greatness, because wow, they're a heck of a team. And then I want to dive into the College Baseball World Series a little bit, because I had that on over the past couple days, and specifically the last game of the series, LSU Coastal Carolina yesterday. Coastal Carolina, some crazy stuff happening with them in that game. So we'll go over that, and then I want to do a little bit of a movie corner, and then wrap things up with some Eagles fan therapy. I just want to talk about my Eagles, Jalen Hurts specifically, some stuff that's been on my mind. That'll probably be a recurring segment on this podcast. But let's get it started with what is the most noteworthy thing in the NBA, other than Kevin Durant getting traded, which we can also talk about a little bit, because that was crazy, and to happen on the day of the Game 7. But that Game 7 last night, as I'm recording this, started off really interesting. Tyrese Halliburton gets hot right off the jump, and then unfortunately we now know it's a torn Achilles that he suffers in that first quarter. He's out for the rest of the game. Pacers keep it close. They fight really valiantly throughout that first half. TJ McConnell tries to spark him in the third, but ultimately Oklahoma City does what they've done all season long and get it done. And you know what? First off, I just want to say props to the Oklahoma City Thunder and congratulations to them and their fan base. They have been a really fantastic team this year in the NBA. I mean, you're talking 68 regular season wins, the regular season MVP with Shea. Shea also goes on to win Finals MVP. And they were tested in these playoffs. It wasn't like they rolled over everybody, but ultimately anytime they needed a big stop or a big bucket in these playoffs, they stole games when they had to, and they come out the champions. I mean, they're built on a lot of depth, a lot of just great defensive-minded young players, and then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Whether you like him or not, whether the free throws are an issue or not, he's unequivocally one of the great players in this league, and it's cool to see him crowned a champion and a Finals MVP. So props to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are one of the better teams, I would say, that we've seen in recent years, and they're going to be good for a long time because they've still got draft picks stocked up. Most of their guys are young. So, yeah, look out for them and congrats. But the super sad part of this is obviously Tyrese Halliburton going down in that first quarter. I think one of the most crushing singular moments like that in terms of injuries that I've seen watching a live sports broadcast. I mean, it was, you see it immediately, he goes down, he's shouting no, over and over again. It's brutal, and Halliburton had been trying to fight through a calf strain in these finals, and, you know, we've seen kind of a correlation between playing through a calf strain. That Achilles injury is always looming, and it really sucks. It was so brutal, because you know Halliburton wanted nothing more than to be playing in that game, playing with his team. He gave everything. He was pushing his body to the limit to play, and then his body didn't have anything more to give, and it gives out, and now it's another brutal Achilles injury. You know, Jason Tatum in the Eastern Conference semifinals, and then even Damian Lillard early on in these playoffs. So I think the micro is obviously that it is terrible for Tyrese Halliburton. Who knows how that game would have gone. He was getting it going from 3 early on in that game. So if he stays in, you know, maybe he gives the Pacers that extra magic that they need to stay in that one or come back and win, and then maybe we have a new champion. But we don't know. He goes down. Still, all props to the Thunder, but it's really unfortunate that a Game 7 like that had to be tainted by an injury with Hallie going down. But hoping for a speedy recovery. These things can take a long time. He's probably out all of next season, and that's the same thing with The Celtics now, Jason Tatum out for a whole season. What are they going to do? Damian Lillard's going to be out for the season with the Bucks. So who knows what's going to happen in this Eastern Conference over this next season? I mean, is it the New York Knicks window? Is it another team rising to the top? Do the Cavs come back and are really good? It's going to be really interesting to see. But the other sort of macro perspective that I wanted to take on this, as I mentioned, all of these injuries happening. Does something need to change in the NBA? Because it just feels like we're seeing more and more of these non-contact, horrible injuries to superstar players. And it really sucks. And I think the sad reality is I don't think the NBA will look at this seriously, but I do think there needs to be a shortened regular season. I think you gotta cut down on the amount of games. It is too much, especially when you consider all of these guys have been playing so hard, so much from such a young age, even to get to a point where you make it to the NBA and are an NBA player. I mean, your AAU games and on season when you're in school all throughout the year, and then summer you're doing camps, and the mileage starts to add up, and then you add on top of this that if you're a great team in the NBA and you're going on a deep playoff run, you are playing a game every 2 to 3 nights for 8 months straight. And basketball is not as physical as a sport such as football or even hockey, you might say, but it still takes a toll. It absolutely takes a toll on the body, and I think the way the league is structured right now, it's not sustainable for where these players are at and where their bodies are at, and I think going to something like 60 games, 62 games, would be really beneficial. I have no scientific data or proof that it would cut down on injuries, but I figure it's worth a shot with where we are right now, and people will go, load management and all these players, sitting games out is an issue, and then maybe if you cut down on the games, it becomes even more of an issue because there's even less opportunities to see these guys play. But I actually think it would incentivize more players to play more games because the games matter more. There's less of them. There's less time to get to where you want in the standings. So I think, all in all, cutting down the regular season is something that needs to happen, or it just in some way, finding a way to make sure these horrific injuries are happening less, because it does feel like there's been a lot of them in recent years, and I don't have the perfect answer. I'm not a doctor, but it just sucks to see. I mean, I was heartbroken for Tyrese Halliburton last night. So yeah, that's Game 7. Thunder pull away. They're the champions. Congrats to them. They deserve it. But yeah, a little bit of a weird game in terms of just how it played out and that injury and how it ended up shaping things. I love TJ McConnell though. His little run, his little spark plug in that third quarter where he was just getting buckets. Loved that for him. But yeah, that's the NBA Finals. We got to figure out something to do about these injuries, I think. Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup Finals also happened. The Panthers versus the Oilers for the second year in a row, and the result is the exact same. In one fewer games, the Panthers, they repeat as champions. And the Florida Panthers may not be a team that I personally like very much, but they are clearly, and I would say inarguably, the best team of this, sort of era right now, and they might be a historically great team. I mean, we'll see what they continue doing in these next few years, how long Bobrovsky is going to continue to play, but in this series in particular, they just felt in total command for most of the series. I thought Game 1, which the Oilers won in overtime, they did have stretches where they looked like the better team. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl seemed much more active early in the season, series. But then as this series went on, it just felt like Florida was a boa constrictor, and they just tightened and squeezed on the Oilers until the Oilers had nothing left. And outside of a 3-goal fluky second period in Game 4 that they rode to an overtime victory, tying it 2-2, the Oilers couldn't score during the latter part of this series. I mean, they just couldn't score on Florida, and that's a testament to Florida's defense. It's a testament to their physicality, and it's just a testament to their depth and how well-rounded they are. Brad Marchand is a great pickup for them. Being in Boston for over half the year, I got to become a little bit fond of him, being around so many Bruins fans who have such a love for that guy. So definitely cool that he's able to help Florida in a big way, cap off a repeat. But yeah, this Panthers team is one of the better hockey teams that I've seen. I mean, I was talking to a friend, since the salary cap, I think there's an argument they're the second or third best iteration of a single team that we've seen. You have to throw the Chicago Blackhawks, late 2000s, early 2010s up there. The peak Crosby and Malkin Penguins teams were also great. But this Florida team, they just do so much so well. They're easily the most physical team in the league. And physicality matters a lot, especially in playoff hockey. But they're not only physical. They also have guys that skate fast. They have smart players. They have good defense and a great goaltender in Sergei Bobrovsky. So they looked pretty unbeatable in those last couple games. I thought maybe Oilers tie it up 2-2. It was a phenomenal series up until that point. 3 of the first 4 games go to overtime. But from there on, it was just like, okay, Oilers aren't scoring, and the Panthers are going to take it. And, who knows how long this little Panthers stint is going to go, because they've got players in their prime still. Bobrovsky is getting up there. Some other players are getting up there, but they've got a lot going for them, and Paul Maurice is a heck of a coach. So, who knows? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers are in talks for a three-peat. But, yeah, back-to-back, still impressive nonetheless. And then on the Oilers side, I kind of hate to see it with, Connor McDavid. I love him as a player. I think he's such a special talent, and it's getting to a point where he has to win a ring, right? He's got to get a cup eventually, and he's just not. And everyone kind of knows he's the best player in the league, but can you win the championship? And after this, I don't know if this Oilers roster can. I mean, they've gotten there twice in a row and been bested by the Panthers, who were the better team in both series. So, it's a little bit frustrating, because I was cheering for the Oilers. I was cheering for Connor McDavid in this one, but they just got outmatched and outplayed. And even McDavid himself didn't look as dominant, didn't have as much of an impact on the game as you're used to seeing from him in this one. And so, I think it's a valid question. Does he stay with Edmonton? And if he does stay, are they able to get back here, and are they able to win it? Because a player as great as him, and even Leon Draisaitl right alongside him, goes kind of underrated, but he's going to be an all-time great. He's going to be a Hall of Famer when he retires, probably. So, those two guys, it's frustrating to see them be so great and not able to get over the hill, over the mountaintop, if you will. But, yeah, congrats to the Panthers, congrats to the Thunder. That's, the two, NBA and NHL both wrapped up for the year, so creates a lot more open space this summer. Obviously MLB is going on, obviously WNBA is going on, which both have their moments for sure, and I'm excited to watch some of that, but it does feel like a real shift in the sports paradigm here as we move into the rest of summer. Just moving on, I want to talk about the College Baseball World Series. LSU beats Coastal Carolina, wins I think their 8th national championship, their 8th World Series, and their second in 3 years. And I watched both games in the series. It was a 3-game series. LSU wins them both, goes 2-0. But really I want to talk about Game 2, because Game 2, if you guys didn't see, had one of the weirdest things I've ever seen happen. Coastal Carolina has their head coach and their first base coach get ejected in the first inning of Game 2 of the College World Series for prolonged arguing. At first I had no idea what was happening. I'd never really seen something like this. Obviously you see, coaches, managers get ejected in baseball. It happens. But never in a moment as big as this, as early on as this. But the broadcast played it back, and the coach, I guess the umpire was telling him, hey, stop, that's enough, go back to the dugout, and the coaches just kind of kept pestering, and then the first base coach comes to the defense, and they're both out of the game and out of the College World Series. And it was really unfortunate for Coastal Carolina, I'm sure. I mean, their players, didn't really do anything to deserve that, and, maybe the coaches didn't deserve it. Maybe they did, I don't know. But if you're towing that line in the College World Series as a coach, as an adult, just shut up. Like, just take it and go back to the dugout and help your team win. Because it really did feel like there were moments in the game, too, where being down, your leader, your head coach, and the first base coach might have cost them a run or two. Specifically, pulling a pitcher when they started to get a little bit out of hand and LSU built up a big lead, I thought could have been a wise move. They didn't, and they go down 5-1 in that game. And then they can't get back, and LSU is the College World Series champions. But really bizarre. The head coach kind of bickering with the ump. Ump throws him out. First base coach threw out. First inning. Yeah, it was wild. So I just wanted to bring that up because that was one of the more interesting, weird things that I've seen in sports. But overall, fun to watch. I like checking in on the College World Series every year. Little League World Series starts up, later in the summer. So I'm a baseball guy, but I can't really sustain the full MLB regular season. So it is cool to check in College World Series. Also, they're playing in 100-degree weather every day in Omaha. It's ridiculous. Feels like 100 degrees here. It is. It's hot where I'm at, and so I'm starting to sweat through this recording, but I want to keep it going because I do want to pivot into just a little bit of a movie corner and something really, really interesting that I'm seeing that's kind of come out. The New York Times and Kyle Buchanan specifically is the writer. He has assembled a list of the top 100 best movies of the 21st century. So the 100 best movies since the year 2000, and the New York Times is going to be releasing this list in 20s, increments of 20 throughout this week. And it's a really great idea. The way he did it was he just kind of pulled a wide variety of people within the industry. So he asked directors and actors and producers and pretty much anyone that, has some real power in the movie industry. He kind of pulled them, said, send in your 10 best movies, your picks for the 10 best movies of the 2000s. Everyone sends in ballots, and then it's kind of collected and weighted, and now there's a list of 100 that this guy's putting out, and obviously film is subjective. No need to say anything more than that. This list doesn't really mean anything, but I think it's a cool idea, and I am curious to see what happens with it going forward. The first 20, so 100 through 81, are out as I'm recording this, and I looked at those, and I'm excited to see where the rest of the list goes. But the other really cool thing about this is they let readers or viewers, or me, for instance, submit their own ballot of their 10 best movies of the 21st century. Their 10 picks. And you can fill it out, and I see everyone doing it like on my Twitter and stuff. I think it's super cool, and so I thought, why not? Let me give it a shot and let me fill out a ballot. And so I've got my 10 best movies of the 21st century ballot here that I filled out, and it was hard to choose from, and I do not envy anyone trying to go through this process who really loves movies, because there's been so many excellent films in this century so far, and even 100 is pretty narrow to limit it down to. So the New York Times, props to them. I mean, compiling all this data and then they're putting it out right now, but just going for me to get to 10, it was almost impossible. And a couple disclaimers that I should add before this. My list is very Western cinema centric. I don't really have much Eastern cinema representation or even just international foreign movies. This is, partly for two reasons. A lot of the films that I grew up with and started my cinephile, movie-loving journey on were American films, were Hollywood films, were Western cinema. And then it's true, I haven't delved deep enough, or as deep as I would like to, into Korean cinema and Asian cinema and Japanese, Chinese, Eastern filmmaking and cinema has so much to offer, and I just haven't been able to dive into it as much as I would like yet. I have had the privilege to watch some of those movies and dive into a little bit of it, and I I love that, and I think there's a lot of great stuff there, but haven't been able to dive as deep into it as I would want. So, my 10 are all, Western cinema, Hollywood, American films for the most part. So I wanted to get that disclaimer out there. You won't be seeing Parasite, or I don't have any Studio Ghibli on here, although I love Studio Ghibli and a lot of those movies. I think Hayao Miyazaki is one of the great artists and creatives of our lifetime, and maybe ever. I think he's brilliant. But yeah, that's one disclaimer. And then the second, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the criteria for how I made this list. So I tried to make it mostly just like my 10 favorites from the 21st century. Movies that I absolutely love. I have to love the movie. It can't just be one that is on a bunch of lists for being great. I have to have seen it and loved it. That seems obvious. But then there was some discrepancy between like my absolute just favorite. I didn't want to put too many from one director or one year on here. I wanted a good variety, and there were moments where if one director, one type of movie had, a film that was my favorite, but there's another one that's similar from the same director that I really like, but I think it had more of a cultural impact on the world of film and the world in general, then I kind of lean towards the one that I think more people have seen, more people appreciate. It's maybe been more influential or has more of a cultural staying power. So with that said, let's get into my 10 picks. So this is since 2000, my top 10 favorite movies, or best movies, whatever you want to say. The first one I put on there was The Dark Knight. This was a no-brainer for me. It is still, I would consider it my favorite movie of all time. I am a huge Batman fan, a huge comic book fan, and I still think The Dark Knight is the pinnacle. It is a great superhero movie, but it's also a great movie and crime thriller, and, having seen the movie Heat by Michael Mann, since watching this, I even gained more of an appreciation for The Dark Knight, because it really is. It's Heat with Batman and the Joker, and Batman and the Joker's relationship throughout the film is exactly what I would want to see from something like this. I'm a big Nolan guy, and I still think this is maybe the best movie he's ever made. It's perfect to me, and as a Batman fan, it doesn't get any better. I love the Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves Batman, but The Dark Knight is still the gold standard for me. I love it to death, and probably always will. Then moving on, I have I would say more personal pick. This is one that probably won't be in a ton of people's lists, but Ryan Coogler's Creed, the Rocky Legacy sequel with Michael B. Jordan. This has been a favorite of mine since I saw it, pretty much. I grew up really liking the Rocky movies. My mom was a huge Rocky fan, showed me all the films. Obviously lived in Philadelphia for a while, have a lot of ties to Philadelphia and the sports culture there. And so Rocky's really important, and I honestly think Creed is the best a Rocky Legacy sequel could have ever been. Everyone in it is incredible. The score by Ludwig Göransson is great, and just the way Ryan Coogler both films it and tells this story is amazing. And now he's obviously gone on to do Sinners, which was already an honorable mention for me when coming up with this list. I think Sinners is incredible, but Creed still to me is like, there's so many scenes in it that are some of my favorite scenes of all time, and I'm shocked how well it works. So I love a legacy sequel when it's done right, and Creed is absolutely done right. The third one I have on here, Paul Thomas Anderson's There Will Be Blood. This is a dark movie, a long movie, a heavy movie, but one that I love, that I think is so brilliantly made and so brilliantly told. The story is awesome, and it has maybe the best male lead performance I've ever seen by Daniel Day-Lewis. I think he's incredible in this movie. I mean, the brunt force that he carries this movie with, I mean, it is all on him, and he delivers every single second. Paul Dano is also incredible in it, and it's just it's a descent into madness. It's a story about greed, and yeah, it looks incredible. The cinematography is top-notch. The score by Johnny Greenwood is awesome, and I'll never forget the first time I watched it. I've rewatched it since, and it's held up. I can't wait to get to watch it again. It is one that you got to sit down and be ready, be prepared to go through some stuff with it, but it's great. The fourth one I have on here, Spike Jonze's Her from 2013, the movie about Joaquin Phoenix falling in love with AI, or an android. Falling in love with a robot, and Spike Jonze makes it one of the most emotional, intellectually challenging, and eye-opening stories about love ever told. Like, it is such a unique film. It made me feel things that I've never really felt before watching a movie and haven't since. It is wholly unique in how it handles humanity and human emotions and love and relationships, and it's probably my favorite romance movie of all time. I love it, and I will sing its praises to the day I die. It's also one of the most gorgeous films I've ever seen. The cinematography and the color grading and the color palette, it's stunning. So I love Her, had to be on here. Next we get 2 animated entries into my list. 2 of 8, or 2 of 10 were animated movies, and I chose Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Toy Story 3. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was an incredible theatrical experience. I saw it with my mom when I was in middle school, and I knew it was special then. I still know that it's special now. It's the best Spider-Man movie that's ever been made. I know Across the Spider-Verse was also really, really great. I still think there's an intimacy to the first one, to Into the Spider-Verse, that I prefer and really love. And yeah, I love that movie. The animation, it changed animation forever, and the story is so unique and interesting, and yet really intimate, like I said, and wholesome and important. So, love Into the Spider-Verse. Toy Story 3, Pixar at its best. That's all that needs to be said. I've cried to this movie a lot. It rocks. It has one of my favorite endings in all of cinema, and they shouldn't have made a 4th one. And that's about all I have to say. Pixar was a huge part of my life, especially when I was younger, and this one is top tier for me. It's probably my favorite. I could have included a bunch of Pixar movies in this list if I wanted to. Toy Story 3 is the one for me. It's my favorite. It has so much going on. It has the characters that I love. Toy Story was so influential for me, so gotta keep it in there. Next up, Black Swan, Darren Aronofsky. This is my pick for the best of 2010. There's so many great movies from that year. You've got The Social Network, and you've got, Toy Story 3, which also right up there. 2010 is a great year for film. But Black Swan is one of the best movies about obsession ever made. One of the best movies about, what it takes to be great, and how far are you willing to go to be great, and when that search for greatness becomes unhealthy or toxic. Natalie Portman is incredible in it. Mila Kunis is in this. She's great. It is a horror thriller that dazzles you with its visuals and is just super interesting. It knows when to dive into some surrealism and then bring it right back. It's super readable while also being like kind of a mind trip, like, whoa, what's going on? So I love Black Swan. It's an amazing movie. Grand Budapest Hotel, Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson's one of, if not my favorite filmmaker working right now. I think he's incredible, and I think Grand Budapest is kind of his magnum opus, where he peaked creatively, visually. It's him fully realized at his best. I just rewatched it not too long ago, and Ralph Fiennes is incredible in it. It's gorgeous. It tells a really cohesive but cute and layered story that I think pretty much anyone can watch this movie and have a good time. So that's in there. And then my last two, I've got Top Gun Maverick, which is another one that is more of a personal thing, probably won't be on a ton of people's for 10 best of this century, but it's simply one of the most rewatchable movies I've ever seen. There's gotta be crack in this movie or something, because every time I watch it, I think it's the best movie ever made. Tom Cruise and the crew did something special there. It's phenomenal. And then La La Land, Damien Chazelle. This is one where I maybe prefer Babylon over it even, which I know that's a hot take in and of itself, but you can't deny the cultural impact on film and just in general in pop culture that La La Land has. It is an incredible musical, one of the best ever on screen, and it's just made with so much love. And that just comes off the screen. And I'll never forget the first time I watched it. I'll still cry at the ending every time I watch it going forward. It's an amazing film. I love it. And it had to be in here. Some honorable mentions could have been, Arrival, another 2016 film I love, Denis Villeneuve, Lord of the Rings, any of them, any of those three. It's an incredible trilogy. Could have put more Nolan on here, Inception or Oppenheimer, Dune Part 2, Sinners, more recent movies that I was really considering, more Pixar as I mentioned before, and MCU, I could have put Infinity War or Civil War, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy on here. They just kind of missed the cut for me. If I was making this list 5 years ago, they definitely would have been in here. But where I'm at now, this was my top 10. Alright, that's it for that. Really cool idea from the New York Times, and glad they're kind of letting us be a part of it in some way. And now we're going to move into the end of this episode. I think we're going to cap it off with something that I would like to call the Eagles fan therapy session, which is just, I'm an Eagles fan. I want chances to rant or, go off about the Eagles in both good and bad ways, the media coverage of them, how much I love them, whatever it may be. Today I want to talk about Jalen Hurts because I feel like absolutely nobody has the ability to be rational and fair and objective when it comes to Jalen Hurts as a quarterback, especially when you see all these quarterback rankings coming out. Because I've seen a lot of them this offseason. People love to do them, and I think that's super fun. And some of these placements of Jalen Hurts is just downright irrational and disrespectful. And I think, I'm not that delusional about my guy. Okay, I really love Jalen Hurts. I think he's a stand-up guy. He's got the perfect mentality. He's perfect for Philadelphia. I love him as the Eagles quarterback. That said, he's not better than Patrick Mahomes. He's not better than Josh Allen. He's not better than Lamar Jackson. And I'll give you Joe Burrow too. I don't think Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the league after even winning the Super Bowl. I wouldn't say that by any stretch of the imagination. I don't have an argument for Matthew Stafford over Jalen Hurts if you want. He won his Super Bowl. He's been great for years. He's got the counting stats. He's got, the eye test, the talent, arm talent. So if you want to put even Stafford ahead of him, I don't know if I would, but I get that. But that would still be putting Jalen Hurts around 5, 6 in the league, which is, in my opinion, where he has to be based on what he's proven. But some people, man, they're doing these quarterback rankings and they're having him, barely in the top 10, and some people even outside of the top 10 still. And I just think it is disingenuous, it's disrespectful. I see people putting Justin Herbert above Jalen Hurts still, regularly. Can somebody tell me what Justin Herbert has done to make him earn a spot above Jalen Hurts in the National Football League? Justin Herbert doesn't have a playoff win. He has never won a playoff game, and Jalen Hurts has been to 2 Super Bowls. He's played really, really well in both of them. He's played great in the NFC Championship game against Washington this past season. He is a big-time gamer. He had an MVP caliber season in 2022. Justin Herbert, I love him. I think he's super talented, but if you're putting him above Jalen Hurts, I think there's an element of that comes off as like, oh, the results just don't really matter. Like, I know what I like in a quarterback and what I'm seeing, and I know Justin Herbert's better than Jalen Hurts. But how? How do you know that he's better? He hasn't won a playoff game. And I get that situation plays into it a lot, and the Eagles have had better teams than the Chargers have. But that's also just part of the reality of football. And I think you've got to give Hurts credit for his results and for his consistency. He's been to the playoffs every year. He's been a starter. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. Even like Dak Prescott, people still putting Dak above Hurts in these rankings. Get out of here. What are we doing? Dak Prescott has had maybe one season that is kind of inarguably, one regular season that was inarguably better than anything Jalen Hurts has done. But even then, it wasn't like he was the MVP, even though, sure, he could have been. Like, you could have made an argument for it. And Dak, 2-5 in the playoffs. Hurts is 6-3. So, I think people need to be rational about this and finally accept it's not maybe what you have made up in your head that a good quarterback looks like all the time. But he is a great quarterback in the NFL, and he's got to be close to top 5. He has to be. So I'm sick of people pretending he's not, and I'm sick of Jaden Daniels. Can we talk about that? Jaden Daniels had 1 year, and people are putting him over Jalen Hurts. The guy who just won the Super Bowl and beat Jaden Daniels and outplayed Jaden Daniels in the NFC Championship game. It's ridiculous. And I'm sorry. This is my Eagles fan therapy session. I gotta let it out because the Jalen Hurts disrespect is insane. And I'm so excited to watch him come and ball out this season. Winning that Super Bowl, I think he's gonna be even better. He works so hard. His work ethic is insane. I'm super excited to see it, and he's above Justin Herbert for now, guys. I mean, if Justin Herbert plays unbelievable this season, wins the MVP, and the Chargers win the Super Bowl, then we revisit the conversation. But for right now, come on. Anyways, I think that's gonna do it. That's about all I've got for this episode of the Mountaintop. I hope you all enjoyed listening. I had a bunch of fun recording it, and once again, Oklahoma City Thunder, new NBA champions. Florida Panthers, repeating. Kevin Durant, we didn't even really get to, but he's on the Rockets now. I think that's super exciting for Houston and their future. I think he adds something they desperately needed, which was high-end offensive firepower. They just didn't have it. The Rockets were a super physical team, a really good defensive team this past season, and that's how they were able to take Golden State to 7 games, but it's just not... They needed KD, and KD coming there, he's going to have a lot of the offensive workload on him, but overall, their roster construction is going to be better than most places he could have gone with him, and his skill set is actually going to be way more valuable than anywhere he's been recently, Phoenix or Brooklyn. So, I'm excited to see him on the Rockets. But I think I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for listening once again, and have a good one. I'll see you next time.